Hey, what's up, guys? It's King Gunner with the Video Game Kingdom, and in this video, where I'm going to be doing a review of The Legend of Zelda: The Minish Cap. You guys saw I finished the series on here, and I've got quite a few Zelda series on here finished, and I'm going to be doing them all, of course. But The Legend of Zelda: The Minish Cap was one series that we did finish. Now, one of the beauties about this, it actually became available on the Wii U pretty cheap. I hope Nintendo continues to do this, where they make their handhelds from the past like Link's Awakening or anything of that nature available on the Wii U, because I really enjoyed playing the Minish Cap. I had never played it on the handhelds. Many of you guys have heard me in my videos say I never have been a handheld guy. I just now got a 3DS towards Christmas, I think, of 2013. I've never been a handheld guy, so all the handheld games pretty much I never got a chance to play. But when A Link Between Worlds came out, I had no choice. I had to go get it. But anyway, back to the Minish Cap. Before what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this review in two parts, much like I did Skyward Sword. I'm going to give you my basic look at the game. This is the second one in the timeline. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back and read you guys the story and give you guys from the book and just in general the idea of the entire storyline of the Minish Cap and kind of elaborate on certain things as the storyline progresses. But I will tell you this: the Minish Cap, my take on it, on between on a grading scale, I have to give it a solid A minus, maybe a B plus, but an A minus. I like the whole idea of you shrinking. As though later in the game it became kind of annoying to me to continuously shrink and things. And when you're shrunken in the game, you only have so many different things you can do as a mini Link. But I thought the game in itself was amazing. I thought the talking hat was a little ridiculous. But then again, at the same time, if this is the origins of the green hat, it makes a lot of sense to me, and it's kind of cool to see that Nintendo is going so much into they're thinking of every detail to the point where we even know the origins of the hat. So I mean, all in all, I thought the game was great. I know that it is kind of a prequel to the Four Swords Adventures, and like I said, it follows right after Skyward Sword in the timeline. So with this being the second official game in the Legend of Zelda series in terms of timeline, it was kind of interesting to see where it went. And if you have played Skyward Sword, then you kind of can see the whole thing a little bit clearer. I actually played this game before I finished Skyward Sword, but I had played enough of Skyward Sword to kind of understand where they were going. Now, like I said, with this timeline, I've said it a million times, it's kind of all goofy, but all in all, it's an amazing story. So when I come back, I'm going to read to you a little bit out of the timeline in reference to this particular game, the Minish Cap. But all the dungeons in the Minish Cap were fun. Just literally everything in the Minish Cap to me was fun, with the exception of the annoyance of shrinking. At times I did not want to shrink. But the Minish Cap as a whole was definitely a great game, and I would recommend it for all of you. All right, I'm going to come right back, read you the story, and give my thoughts on the game itself. Peace. All right, guys, it's time to get into the Minish Cap. Now, with that being said, we learned a lot in the Minish Cap. We learned about the Picori and the Light Force, which essentially is the same thing for the most part as the Triforce. We learned about Vaati. Vaati was the big evil villain in this video game. Now, we're going to go ahead and get started. Now, the hero of men. In the first major event, this is the first major event to happen since the Kingdom of Hyrule was established. The world was engulfed by evil beings and shrouded in darkness. It was then that a tiny Picori descended from the sky, remember Skyloft, bringing a golden light and a sword. Using the sword, the hero of men sealed the evil beings away in a bound chest and brought peace to the world once again. The golden light was the Light Force, the royal family and the Picori. After sealing away the evil beings, the royal family of Hyrule became the careful overseers of the sword, which became known as the Picori Blade. Furthermore, the royal family kept the existence of the land of Picori, the Minish Realm, hidden. In gratitude to the Picori, the people held a Picori festival once a year. Now remember, if you remember from Skyward Sword, and kind of at the end, when I was speaking of everything that had happened. Uh, Zelda became, or the Hylia, which was essentially Zelda, became kind of the everything else in Hylia became a descendant. Hyrule is a descendant of Hylia, the area, the sacred realm in Hylia, and part of even Skyloft. And Zelda was a descendant of Hylia. I already told you once before, she had to fuck somebody to make people, so I think it was Link. Now, the sword fighting tournament and the Picori blade. Legend said that every 100 years, the secret door would open up, and the Picori would pass through and enter the world of humans. The customs of the Picori festival had continued for many, many years. Among them was a sword fighting tournament. The award ceremony was held in front of the Picori blade and was the only chance to see the blade. This was the only chance you had to see the blade. The Picori blade, I wonder, in fact, we'll just continue. I wonder if it had anything to do with the Master Sword or anything of that nature. This is considered the Force era, by the way. Now, at the Picori Festival, for the 100th year of the Picori Festival, there was an unusually grand celebration. In the customary sword fighting tournament, an unknown man named Vaati was the victor. Vaati believed the light force was in the bound chest. He broke the Picori blade to unseal the chest and found that it did not contain the light force at all. The evil that has been sealed inside poured forth from the chest. Here comes the monsters. Vaati turned Princess Zelda into stone. She's always getting turned into stone. And headed off in search of the light force. The curse placed on Princess Zelda could only be broken with the sacred power of the Picori blade. The tribe of the Picori, also called the Minish, were the only ones able to fix the Picori blade, and they could only be seen by children. Therefore, Smith, the great blacksmith, proposed that the king of Hyrule enlist the help of a young Link, or Gunnar in this situation. The king told Link where the Minish dwelled. Then with the broken Picori blade and the smith's sword in hand, Link set off in search of their land. On his way to Picori home in the Minish woods, the young Link met Eslo, a man suffering from a curse. Link came to learn that Eslo had been a Minish sage, and Vaati had been his apprentice. When Vaati put on the mage's cap made by Eslo, he gained evil powers and cursed Eslo by changing him into the shape of a cap. And that is the origins of the green cap. It's Eslo. And later on you'll find out what Eslo did and how we ended up with a green cap still. Okay, now we're going to move on to the Minish village in the four elements. Feeling responsible for Vaati's actions, Eslo teamed up with Link and set off. And this hat was a smart ass. I'm telling you, this hat was I wanted to beat his ass all game. Eslo teamed up with Link and set off for the portal to the Minish village. The Minish were so tiny they could easily fit into the palm of a grown human's hands. They were pretty small. When Link entered the portal, he shrank down to their size and gained entry into the Minish village in the woods. In order to break the curse on Zelda, Link needed to repair the Picori blade and use its sacred power. There were four elements hidden around the world that Link needed to obtain and then placed on a pedestal in the elemental sanctuary to restore the sacred power to the blade. Still on a quest to obtain the light force, Vaati took control of the king of Hyrule and had him order his soldiers to search for the light force. Vaati learned from the legend of the Wind Tribe that when the four elements were collected and placed in the elemental sanctuary, a holy sword would be born, and the path to the light force would open. Knowing that Link was collecting the four elements, Vaati waited until the time when he could take the elements from Link. The little prick waited till I did all the dirty work. He was going to take the shit. I wasn't playing that. The Picori are a little bit about the land of the Minish. The Picori are a tribe of tiny people. Link became the size of the Minish and enters the realm, a land most people would not be able to locate at all. Being very, very tiny has its disadvantages for Link. Weak goblins and enormous enemies alike stand in the way of his quest. A small puddle, it seemed like a massive lake, and yes, it did it. For a tiny person, the dangers are many. After collecting all of the 4 elements, Link placed them on the sacred pedestal. The Picori blade became infused with sacred power and transformed into the 4 swords. The 4 sword. This is what leads into the 4 swords and the 4 swords adventures, which gave the wielder the ability to split into 4 identical copies of himself. This was a pain in the ass. I don't know if I'm going to like 4 swords and 4 swords adventures, because this was a pain in the ass. It made puzzles so much harder. So if you guys like hard puzzles, play the Minish Cap. Play anything with these 4 links. Simultaneously, a door beyond the pedestal opened, revealing the legend that the light force dwelled within the Princess Zelda, generation after generation. Of course it does. That's exactly the very force that Demise was trying to suck out of her that brought him back to life. After Vaati followed Link and learned about the light force, he took Princess Zelda to the roof of the castle, and little by little extracted what he could of the light force from her body in order to transform himself. So this is 2 straight villains that basically sucked the force out of Zelda to become themselves. Somebody needs to probably kill that bitch then, because it seems to me that she has the ability, the juices going through her body has the ability to turn these villains almost unbeatable. Anyways, with that being said, Link stopped the ritual, but Vaati was still able to use the power of the light force to transform into Vaati's wrath. Using the power of the 4 sword, Link destroyed Vaati's wrath and broke the curses on Princess Zelda and Eslo. The battle between Link and Vaati's wrath brought Hyrule Castle down around them. It was done for. Eslo gave the Mage's Cap to Princess Zelda, who, with the small amount of the light force left within her, made a wish to restore Hyrule to its original condition, which it did. Not long after, the door to the Minish village began to close, but before it shut, Eslo presented Link with a green cap and then returned to the Minish village. That's the Mage's Cap. So we ended up, as you know, with obviously with the cap at the end of this game. Now it kind of goes in, but we're not going to obviously go into 4 swords or anything like that. But anyways, so that's kind of how things went down with the Minish Cap. Minish Cap was a great game. It was kind of a fun game. I think all of the handhelds they're quick and they're easy kind of, and they're fun. Whereas the console games are more serious to me. The Minish Cap was just entertaining. I guess that's the best. I think I finished it in like 3 or 4 days. Whereas Skyward Sword, granted, my own fault because I took time off, took me 8 months. But the Minish Cap, in fact, you know, I was on the borderline earlier, but in fact, I give it an A. I give it an A minus. I think it was a great game. It was fun. So I don't know if there's any questions about the Minish Cap. Feel free to comment. And I hope you guys go get the game. I think it's only $8 on Wii U. So talk to y'all later. Peace.